You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Hi, how are you? You're on your way to work, maybe? On your way home from work? This is a hello right to you, straight to you. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you're smiling right now. I hope you had a good day or you're going to have a good day. And, trying to be present right now. Trying to be present. Ryan, you okay? You're
good. I'm checking everything.
Checking everything.
The lights.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Everything seems to look okay. I got a haircut.
Nice.
Yeah. Got a haircut. And I got vaccinated.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot.
That was it.
The girl behind me got, I was perfectly fine. Nothing happened to me. Not fatigue, not nauseous, nothing. It's been quite some time now. So knock on wood, nothing's happening. Just a one and done. I didn't really want to do the other one. I guess they're all pretty good, but still got to be safe and stuff. But it kind of feels good to be vaccinated.
You feel relieved?
Yeah, I do feel relieved.
Even though it doesn't fix everything, but it fixes something.
Yeah, my arm's not even sore.
Really?
No, it might even. It's less than a mosquito bite.
Nice.
Just nothing. I got lucky, I think. Gracious Lord. Thanks for everybody who tuned in to the Stage It show and watched my band play. Rob and I had a great day. My band Sunspin, we played on Stage It. We played 2 shows this last Saturday and gave a lot of prizes in the Zooms. We Zoomed a lot of people. And thank you, everyone, for being there and supporting the band. You're always so amazing. A big shout out to all the patrons who do that. If you want to follow the band, you can go to sunspin.com. We got lunch boxes and merch and all sorts of fun stuff. And you can book the band if you'd like. You could book a Zoom with the band. Sunspin.com. Handles are at sunspinband everywhere. And also the Inside of You online store. We've got a bunch of stuff. I think we still got some Lex Luthor shirts and autographed pictures and other shirts and just lots of great stuff on there. It's the Inside of You online store. We should probably give a discount code. We did Ryan 15 last time, didn't we?
It was inside of
Ryan.
Yeah, inside of Ryan.
Inside of Ryan 15.
Was right.
So maybe inside Ryan, do we dare go 20? That's kind of a lot. That's a lot. That's a big percent. You know what? F it. 20% off everything in the store. But this is only going to be till tomorrow. Wednesday. So get it while you can. 20% off everything in the Inside of You online store. Inside of Ryan 20.
Inside of Ryan or inside Brian?
Oh, sorry. Inside Ryan.
There we go.
20.
There we go.
20% off. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I know a lot of guests come and people listen. They want to listen to those guests and they then tune out. But, we're a podcast that could use your help. We could use your listening skills. And if you dug this, if you like it, then we hope you'll stick around and, sign on, subscribe. Where can they subscribe, Ryan?
At Inside of You Pod on Twitter, at Inside of You Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, youtube.com/Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
And it's all right here.
Yep.
See, it's all right here if you're watching. But please subscribe. Please subscribe and get your friends to subscribe. It truly helps. And try to listen to every episode. We try to give you something interesting guests. Great guest today, Rob Benedict, Richard Speight. These guys, incredible stories that they tell. Their dad stories of being a dad, but you might know these guys from Supernatural. They're both musicians. We've played together. They're fantastic guys. I really enjoyed talking with them.
It's a good one. It was one of my favorites for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that says a lot. Ryan doesn't usually come out and say that. I usually have to ask him. Did you like it?
I really did.
Yeah. Sometimes you have really great conversations with people and you learn a lot. And some of their stories were just fascinating. And one in particular about Richard saving Rob's life. So without further ado, let's get inside Rob Benedict and Richard Speight. It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. Rob Benedict.
How's it going, buddy?
I love that you have a gold microphone. Why is that? Because you're just gold?
I don't know. I thought it looked cool.
Well, you are cool. Is that a head in the back?
It's my head. It's my head from the our Kings of Con show that Rich and I did.
Right. That's right. I want to get into that. And Richard Speight now, who's Richard Speight Jr., God forbid I just call him Richard Speight. But he'll be on in just a minute. He's having a conversation with a teacher. Did he get in trouble?
Yeah.
What's the deal there?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds serious, but I don't know. It's something, he's got 3 boys. So, at any one time, one of them is getting into trouble.
Oh, wait a minute. So is it a serious talk with the teacher about his children?
I don't know. I don't know how serious it is. But yeah.
He's just having a conversation with the teacher. We're going to find out is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to ask
It's
him.
not necessarily, a bad thing, but it can't be great. It can't be great if I'm being honest. Who has
an hour conversation Zoom with a teacher if it's great? Like, hey, I just want to catch you up. Just tell your kids are great. Fantastic. Let's go from every course. Math aces across the board. Just really powering through speech class. Very confident. No farting. Doing a lot of good for this high school.
Yeah. And does the teacher not have other classes? That's my other thought. Is he or she just sort of skipping the other classes to have this long talk about the Speight kid?
Hour. What teacher has an hour to spare with one parent?
I don't have an hour.
And why isn't his wife on the meeting with him? Is it just him?
It might be just him. His wife works, and she works. She has a crazy job and works long hours.
Either that, or maybe old Dick Speight Jr. is the disciplinarian here.
It could be. I mean, it is. He is the disciplinarian. Those kids do not mess around when he's home.
Were you a good kid in school?
Yeah, I was a good kid. I figured out early. My brother was an athlete, star athlete. And when I went to high school, I realized, okay, I didn't have anything to offer in that realm. So school became what I did well. I was a good student.
Yeah, you excelled.
I excelled. Yeah, I was a good kid. And shit was going on at home. So
what shit? Wait, you can't just throw that away. You can't say shit was going on at home.
I might have talked about it last time I was on your show, but my dad left. It was kind of like spending time between my house and his mistress's house.
Mistresses, plural?
No, just one mistress.
Right.
And I was maybe 12, and then eventually that sort of became sort of the mistress got most of the time, and he just kind of didn't come back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was rough. By the time I got to high school, it was rough. My mom was in a bad, dark place, and my siblings were gone. I'm the youngest of 4, and it was just me and my mom. And so I don't know, some kids rebel at high school. Like for me, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do, I'm just going to work as hard as I can and be just the best student and being the president of everything. And you know what I mean? Involved in everything and just overdo it. So that was high school for me.
How do you have that much? What's the word when you not? I guess hindsight. No. Well, how do you know? As you had to be pretty emotionally smart or aware that to make a conscious decision like that to go, this is fucked up. I'm gonna do something really good with my life. Whereas I was hanging by a thread my entire school, like, just like I am not going to make it. I always say I've talked about this, but I always say I had and I don't know if death wish is the right term, but I just never thought I'd live past grade school, high school, college. I always thought, and I didn't have that emotional support at home. And it sounds like, maybe you didn't either. Was your mother, well, I'll get to that, but how did you make that decision that you're going to do well and you're going to excel and get out? How do you do that?
I don't know. My mom talks about it. She said, literally, we had a conversation after my first day of high school. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. It was my brother's 6'4", and he was like the basketball star. I was the opposite of that. I came in and I knew I knew I was a smart kid and I could do. I really wanted to have that achievement like he had. And I guess I just made that conscious decision to go, this is going to be what I do. And I think too, when you're that age, I have teenagers now, and when you're that age, like and I've been through a divorce now, and my children are teenagers, and I see them do it in a way that you hang on to what you can control, almost obsessively. I can control that, and for me, I could control that. I was smart enough that I was like, I can control this. I can get good grades and be a good kid. Where it got me in trouble is that like I got obsessed about people liking me. It was weird.
Yeah,
I got obsessed about
that.
like really wanting to be liked and doing whatever I could just to be liked, which kind of had this weird thing to do with like, my dad being gone and my world kind of being exploded. So I was just like, are you mad at me? Don't be mad at me. Are you mad at me?
Do you feel like there's part of that in you still, that little kid who just wants to be liked?
100%.
We don't lose that. When I walk into a room, it's not like people always say, oh, you're so confident. I think it's because I'm not confident. I want people to like me and accept me. And I'm like, how do I make them like me? Because I don't feel like I can't be likable. I'm me. I still have that image of myself as this young punk who I just didn't feel that was, necessarily loved or liked or by a lot of people. And so that's a hard thing to lose. But your father and your mother, did they show affection to you?
My mom did. Yeah. My dad wasn't there, but my mom did. I didn't have that. I never had that male energy around because he wasn't around. But my mom was affectionate.
Well, how does that make you does that put so much pressure on you to be the best father ever? And are you hard on yourself about being a father?
A little bit. And certainly going through the separation and then divorce was tough for me. Because I've worked extra hard to not be my dad. So yeah, I mean, I do. I overachieve at being a father too. And I have to, be careful not to, they get to a point where they're like, we got it. We're good. You can stand down,
Listen, guys, I always feel like if I was a father, I would be like, look, I love you. I want you to tell me everything that you need to, if you want to, you could share anything with me. I've been through it all. I've embarrassed myself. I have been a big fuck up in my life. And I want you to know that if you do something stupid, you can come to me. I'm not going to hit you. You don't hit kids anymore. Okay. I'm not going to, I want you to know that you can come to me. I might get mad at you. I might be disappointed, but like we could work things out. And I want you to know that I'm here because a lot of kids, I don't think that they feel like their parents are there.
Right. No, and that's me. I mean, that's my relationship with my kids. My son has become, he's such a good kid. He's just a really good kid. He tells me everything. We're just buddies, and he'll tell me anything. And he's 17.
Does he tell you about sex? Does he say, Dad, I got a handy? What does he do?
Yeah, I mean, he'll, he's not having sex, but he has a girlfriend, and I get it so much so that sometimes I'm like, I don't need to know that. You can, you can have that one for yourself.
Like, what will he say? Like, what would he say?
I'm embarrassed because I don't want him to like hear this.
Good. See, my mom never did that. My mom would write articles in our small town paper and embarrass me on a daily basis. And she would flirt with other men in front of me, and she would always embarrass. And I think a big thing is don't embarrass your kids. Like, let them be them. Don't try to interfere. Look, like I said, I have 2 dogs, and I do the best I can, but I'm like, I fucking could barely, handle 2 dogs. How could I ever be a father of a human being? That's And when you go through this like divorce and all this stuff, did you think you were going to be married forever? Did you think, I'm never going to leave this woman?
Oh yeah. Without question. And we were married for 24 years.
So it wasn't your call. It was all of a sudden one day she wakes up and says, I'm done.
It was complicated. It was kind of many years in the making. We have very separate lives, and our paths were going in opposite directions. And it was kind of lots of years of therapy, and it finally just, I think we both just kind of threw the towel in, and we realized we were both not happy.
Is it hard to, like, when your heart's broken, to not share that with your kids and try to be strong? Is there a balancing act you have to do?
Yeah, and that was the thing. At first it was like, it's, we're fine. We're working it out. It's, we're going to try living apart for a little bit, but we're working, and then finally they were like, just talk to us. What's going on? They were the ones that sort of like called it. And so that's when Molly and I had to both be very honest with them about what was going on. And it sent our relationship into a whole different realm too, in a good way.
Really? So now you can have conversations and it's amicable and it's okay.
Everything's okay now. Yeah. Her and I get along really well, and we all four hang out and we have family nights together, so we still have that. I think that's really important.
Are you still attracted to her? Do you ever think maybe we can get back together, or is something you've kind of like, you've like let that go?
No, I kind of let that go. But she's, she's like family to me. I mean, I've known her for, like half my life. And we started dating almost 30 years ago, and we were married for 24 years. Like, you don't just let that go. That doesn't go away. So I love her, and she'll always be like family to me.
That's, you're a tough guy. That'd be really tough. I mean, who's here to break up this conversation? Speaking of tough guys, this is Richard Speight Jr. is just joining the conversation. We were getting deep. Boy, we were getting deep fast, dude.
Yeah.
So wait, Richard, before you get going, first of all, you've got no facial hair. We'll get into that. I've never seen you without facial hair. B, I thought you were doing a Zoom call with some teacher for some magazine or something. I didn't realize you were having a disciplinarian meeting with a teacher about your children.
Yes, it's this is a full school day. Any day of the week in lockdown is a full school day at Dick Jr. School for the Blonde. I have 3 students, and I'm fully charged with proctoring their education, which so far is going just great.
Okay, there's sarcasm. He's laying it on us pretty thick there, Rob.
I'm just not. I mean, listen, man. I love teachers. I admire teachers. I do not necessarily have the patience and the skill. I love spending time with my boys. That's great. But I'd be lying if I didn't say they're not going to lose a few steps this last year and a half, because I'm not great. I'm there. I'm present. I try to keep the ball moving forward and all that good stuff. But
what are some of the issues like that a parent has to deal with? For instance, like, for me, it was, he won't shut the fuck up. Okay. There's S's, right. Satisfactory. There's S minuses. Then there's I's, I believe there were. I don't remember what I's were. And then there were U's, unsatisfactory. I was always a U.
Dying to know what the I's were.
I think the I's were indifferent.
It just won't work.
I'm at a loss, maybe it stood for.
Yeah. Like, I quit.
I got paddled as a kid. I remember there's this kid, Bruce Holder, in our school who they had paddling, corporal punishment. I haven't heard that word in a while. And I remember he was going to get paddled because he did something and he fainted in the hallway. I don't know whatever happened, but he fainted, and they took him to the nurse's office. And then the teacher called his mom and said, "Hi, Mrs. Holder. Your son said the F-bomb and did something else, and we were going to paddle him, and he fainted." And she says, "Well, when his ass wakes up, paddle him." And that was it. So different mentality. I grew up in Southern Indiana. You gave a kid a smack if he did something wrong every once in a while.
Also different decades, baby. I mean,
right. So what is it, Dick Speight Jr.? What is it?
Now it's different because, we're talking about lockdown school. So the issue with what kids are navigating is very different than classroom learning because, and I know this from dealing with my own children. I also know this from talking to friends of mine who are teachers. And that is, kids just get up and walk away. It's not, you wouldn't get up and leave class, but you get up and walk away from a screen. It's hard to keep their attention and keep them engaged and keep them present, literally physically present. They can shut their camera off. They can be doing a little text chain that no one's aware of down here to the right. They could have a second computer or second window open on their computer and be watching David Dobrik YouTube videos
or
and
porn,
not watching and not class. Porn's hard to do on a school computer. Those school computers are logged, are kind of built to have that not
It's
work.
more that they're talking to their friends at the same time.
Right.
Or playing a game. But at my house, the teenagers are, it's more like during school hours, like I'm like I'm the cook. I make the lunches. I get them up. But they're like, get out of my room. Like I can't knock if they're in the class. Like, Dad, I'm in class. Like I have to, kind of stay away. But Rich's youngest is what, 8 or 9?
9. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
do you
so
get Jesus?
Rich has to be more hands-on.
How
with
do you
him.
have? How do you? For me, it's like I talk to. Do you have a propensity? Big word for me to just hang out with people who have kids like the both of you. Because for me, I can relate to somebody like my friend Rob. It's like, my dog shit all over the house today. He's like, oh fuck, dude. But like, do you feel like you need to relate to somebody who has children too? So is that why you guys get along? I know you've been friends a long time, but are most of your friends married, kids? Are those people you sort of relate more to? Is that why when people get girlfriends and wives and kids, they stop hanging out with the single loser like myself?
Well, I'll tell you something. I think largely our social group, certainly the social group we share through Rob's band and through Supernatural and all this stuff, almost everybody's married with kids or has gotten married in the time we've known each other. But I actually think it's not that I think when you have kids, you're immediately like, so long, single lamos, off to the married club we go. I think your entire life schedule shifts. It's like if you're a hog farmer, you're not hanging out with the night DJ because you're up at 4 feeding animals. Like the idea that your life has changed so dramatically when you have kids throws you onto a schedule
right.
that is different. So I have single buddies, and they'll go like, "Hey, you want to go grab a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to. Where are you going to?" You're like, "Let's meet at blah 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 9." 9? No, ain't meeting nowhere at 9.
How about a diet soda at the counter at 4?
I'm just like, if my taillights aren't aimed home by 9, if I go to sleep and there's not a 9 in front of the hour, my day the next day is effed. Because it's just. I remember when my sister. I have 2 older sisters, and I remember when my oldest sister Barbie got married and had her first kid, and Barbie was always super fun and social. And I went to visit her in Alexandria, Virginia, where she was living with her husband and her new baby, or toddler. And she's like, "All right, well, let's have dinner." And I'm like, "It's 6." And she said, "Yeah, that's when we eat dinner." I'm like, "Who on God's green earth eats dinner at 6? Let's eat dinner at 9." Let's do my mind was still in that, and she was saying 9. Well, go enjoy your dinner because we're feeding the kid at 6, and we'll be, God willing, asleep by 9. And I thought that was loony. And then, of course, decades later, I had my own kids, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Inside of You is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I love these guys because I'm lazy as crap. You understand, Ryan? You know how many people say, "Oh, well, you need to take this vitamin for this. You need to take this mineral for that. You need to have a bowl of bran." Eat it. I don't want to do it. I'm tired of it. So this guy developed this product, Athletic Greens. It's all in a powder. You just pour it in. And I know you had this, and I know you liked it because you would tell me, and I wouldn't ask you if you didn't like it.
No, it's good.
Yes, it's delicious. And you drink a glass in the morning. It makes me feel dynamite, and it gives me so much. Tell us what's in there.
1 tasty scoop of Athletic Greens contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food-sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, greens superfood blend, and more.
And they all work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet. They increase energy and focus, aid with digestion, and support a healthy immune system, all without the need to take multiple products. And right now, Athletic Greens is doubling down on supporting your immune system during these next few months. They are offering my audience a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit my link today. You'll basically never have to buy vitamin D again. So whether you're looking for peak performance or better health, covering your bases with Athletic Greens makes investing in your energy, immunity, and gut health each day simple, tasty, and efficient. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/YOU and join health experts, athletes, and health-conscious go-getters around the world who make a daily commitment to their health every day. Again, simply visit athleticgreens.com/YOU and get your free year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs today. Inside of You is brought to you by NHTSA. I don't know about you, but I'm one impatient mofo. You're driving your freaking car, Ryan, and you hit the train tracks, right? You hit the train tracks, the lights are going, and you're like, there's no train here. I could just get through there. It's just, I don't have time for this.
Don't do it.
Trust me, you have time. Your life has time. It can be frustrating, I know, especially, you're in a hurry, you're late, you find yourself at a railway crossing waiting for a train. And if the signals are going and the train's not even there yet, you get that feeling you're a bit tempted to try and sneak across the tracks. Well, don't ever.
To the naked eye, trains often appear to be further away and moving slower than they are.
And they can't stop quickly.
Even if the engineer hits the emergency brakes right away, it can take a train over a mile to stop.
Over a mile to stop. By that time, it's too late, and the result is a potentially deadly crash.
The point is, you can't know how quickly the train will arrive.
The train can't stop quickly. Even if it sees you, it ends in disaster. If the signals are on, the train is on its way, and you just need to remember one thing: stop. Trains can't. Inside of You is brought to you by BetterHelp. BetterHelp online therapy, folks. Don't fast forward. This message could probably save your life. It could probably save you a lot of stress and all the crap that we feel all the time, nonstop, depression, anxiety. Ryan, have you ever had therapy?
I did once a long time ago. I think I'm going to start again, though.
Why would you start again?
Because I don't feel like my brain is right.
I think that is just a very honest answer. I feel that's why, I feel like my brain's not right. And for a long time, I was like, I don't need therapy. I don't need this. And I thought I was indestructible. And then I realized I was just, bottling all this bad stuff up over the years and trying to be Superman, pun intended. And I just, you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what's best for your body and your mind. And, a lot of people are closed off to therapy, and it's a shame because I think they'll see how much it could really help them and how much it's helped me, of course. What is therapy exactly? Well, Ryan, it's anything you want it to be. But what's great for me is it gives me the tools to help with motivation, depression, anxiety, but it can also help people who are battling their temper, stress, dealing with insecurity in relationships or at work. It's time to stop being ashamed of your normal human struggles and start feeling better, because you deserve to be happy. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. I like to see my therapist. Hey, what's going on, Sandy? It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and trust me when I say it, it's way more affordable. These guys are so much cheaper than if you go to somebody in LA or, you go to a private practice, you're going to be spending a lot more money. Much more affordable, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. It may or may not be for you, but it's worth looking into, because you are your greatest asset. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Inside of You listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/inside. That's BetterHelp.com/inside. I look at you guys and I think, of course, these two should have children. They're grounded. They're lovely human beings. And that's why I gauge whether I would be a good father. I just think that it's a mistake. I think the child will be a mistake. I think, not a mistake, but I think I will kill myself trying to be something, because I will never be as, look, I always have this issue with trying to be great at everything. And I'm working on that, because you can't be, especially as a father. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to, I definitely don't want them to follow in my footsteps. I want them to be secure and loved and feel like, so, I mean, I talked to Robbie about this, but do you feel like do you make a lot of big mistakes? Are you hard on yourself, or are you just kind of easygoing and let things kind of flow?
I'm not easygoing. I'm the hard opposite of easygoing. And I make a shitload of mistakes, but I don't think you can parent and not make mistakes, because it's not an exact science. It simply isn't. You don't know the personality of the child you're going to have. You don't know what's going to work or not work with that child. And then if you have another child, say you get in a groove with old number one, here comes number two with a whole different set of criteria. Not the same parents, not the same journey for the child. And I'll say something to piggyback on something you said about you think you'd screw it up. Because you are right now a man who is not teamed up with somebody that you want to enter this adventure with. I think a lot of having children, for me, and I would love to hear Rob's 2 cents on this, although I think I know what he's going to say, was I outpunted my coverage when it came to marrying somebody with attributes and qualities that I admire. So the idea of teaming up with her to have kids, I'm like, we can do this. Sort of like, all right, neither one of us know what we're doing, but you liked your family, I liked my family, and I like you and you like me. Let's give this a go. And there's something very much like rah-rah about it. That's part of the fun, adventure, and challenge of having kids is the team element of it. I mean, I can't imagine being a single dad. I never have been, knock on wood. And a single mom, even harder. I can't imagine that journey. But for me, being happily married to somebody I admire, and when I see attributes of her in my children, I think, good, thank God they pulled that from my wife. That's great.
Rob, Rob, you want to take that one?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit different now because, like I said, I've been through this kind of life change, and I find myself for the first time parenting solo half the time. The kids are with me, and I'm by myself with them. Certainly, yeah. I mean, and like to what I was saying earlier, like that's why my ex-wife and I still have such a great relationship, because the children were created out of love and our joint desire to do this together, and that just doesn't go away. So certainly, yeah, that was the reason I had kids. It was the same thing. I was scared shitless, especially because of what happened with my dad. And I didn't, when I found out my firstborn was going to be a son, I was like, holy Christ, I don't know what it is to be a father. You know what I mean? I don't have any reference for being a father. And another buddy of mine was like, well, that's probably why you're having a son, so you can figure that out.
Right.
And, but now I find myself sort of in this sort of new world in terms of, fortunately, I've got 2 really good kids. They're teenagers. They're really like, buddies that I need to feed, friends that I need to feed.
Well, let me ask you this. What was, and if it's not too personal, how I get personal, that's my middle name. But like, who was there for you to console you when this all went down, when you did get divorced and you had to go through this shit? Who did you turn to, and were you a mess?
I had a really rough couple of years. And I was, I was a bit out of control. And, I had friends like Rich. I have this other group of dudes that I know that actually are not married. And they were there for me, because it's hard, because a lot of my friends that are married, they have their own shit going on. But Rich was in the trenches with me and certainly helped me a lot. And then I've got this other group of friends that are dudes that are in their 40s, but not like you, Mike, and never married. And they were there too. And just friends, man, just friends. It was hard. Yeah. It was really hard.
You guys it seems like you're inseparable. You've done so much work together. You've known each other how long?
Oh, 13 years or so, probably. I mean, at this point,
yeah, we've known of each other for probably 20 years, but we're friends, 13, 14 years ago.
Did you meet on Supernatural?
Well, there's a story there, because I had seen Rob Benedict's work on television and in film, and thought he was a really talented guy. And he's one of those dudes that I would see at auditions, right? Because we're kind of the same category of guy.
Both hunks.
So both hunks. And it would be us. It'd be Dean Cain, the huge. And so, we're I'd cross Bobo's path a lot. And I'm one of those dudes, and Rob knows this about me. If I liked you in something, there's no ego. I will walk up and be like, God, just watch an episode of TV you're on. You just knocked the socks
like that.
Out of it.
I do that too, all the time.
Yeah, and some actors are like, I like that guy, but I don't want to show my hand.
Yeah,
I don't want to say that I liked it, because then next time we're in the audition room, he'll think he's got me, and I play mind games.
He's got me.
So he'll think I'm soft. So I saw Bobo a couple times where I was like, oh man, I'm a big fan. And the joke is, and it's obviously been blown up over time for comedic effect, but in truth, Rob would forget that we had met. So I would go up to him like, Rob Benedict, Rich Speight, saw you and blah, blah, blah. Man, that was just great. Oh, thanks, man, thanks. Yeah, no, seriously, really good. Yeah, thanks, buddy, thanks. And, on our merry way we go. Then I go to a pilot taping a buddy of mine wrote, And there's Rob, is one of the regulars. And I come down afterwards, I'm like, Rob Benedict, oh my God, Rich Speight, look at you. I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. Then after 2, it became like I ran into him at Halloween. Well, we were doing Supernatural. We were overlapping. We were not working in the same episodes, but I would see Rob, like he was on the call sheet for the next episode. So we'd overlap. And we'd overlap in the apartment. I remember like, oh, Rob Benedict's moving in here after I leave. So I'd leave like a funny outgoing message like, this is Rob Benedict's apartment. You've reached me. I'm in the shower. It could be hours. I'll call you back. You know, it was back before we had everybody. We actually had landlines in the apartments.
Somebody shut their dog up.
No, it's Luna barks. Luna barks at friendlies. Cuddles up to the enemy. Barks at friendlies.
I almost yelled at my dog, shut up, but they're not doing anything.
Nah,
it's fine.
But so I run into Robin trick-or-treating. He's out with his kids. 2 kids like they're cut out of magazines. I'm chasing my kids around, herding them with a rake. And Robbie, he's there. And I'm like, Rob, hey.
Rich Speight.
And he goes, hey, man. With that look of, I don't know who you are. You know, that clear, like glazed over. I'm like, Rich. Speight, Supernatural, you know, we met a couple times, Supernatural, and he's like, yeah, no, hey, good to see you, buddy. Good, I gotta, you know, go with these better looking kids, but I'll be, you know, thanks for stopping. And
not true at
go
all.
with these better looking kids.
That led up to this time I was at the Grove. No,
Arclight.
Jesus,
Arclight.
Rob, how could you
Arclight.
Forget his face?
None of this is true. None of this is actually true.
This is true. And Rob, you can't dispute this. I go up, I'm out with my special lady friend, my wife, the Machete, and we go up to the bar at the Arclight to have a cocktail before the screening. And if you know that area, it's a small, you know, slender bar area and a couple of cocktail tables. And we sat down at one end, and at the far end, I see a young Rob Benedict and his wife Molly out for a date night themselves. And I'm like, oh, there's that guy, Rob Benedict, and his wife on a date night. Neat. And I go to the bar and I order a drink. And he goes, hey, are you that guy from Supernatural? I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy. And he looks over, he goes, isn't that guy also from Supernatural? I'm like, yeah, that's Rob Benedict. He's also in Supernatural. And the guy's like, oh, why aren't you guys talking to each other? Because he's drinking my beer. I'm like, he never remembers me, man. I'm done.
Please say he came up to you. Please.
I didn't see him.
You didn't?
I didn't see him.
That was it, man.
I didn't see him.
I confided in the bartender.
I didn't see him.
A pat on the back.
I remember, see, my side of that whole story is that I remember Rich Speight. Rich Speight was really, he booked like 80,000 commercials back in the day. And so when I used to do a lot of commercial auditions, he was always in the waiting room. And I remember, like, if he was there, you're fucked. Like, he had the job. But so I just kind of knew who he was. And he was also just really nice. And he was a nice guy. So, you couldn't hate on him. So I just kind of knew his face. I remember meeting him at that pilot taping. And I remember him at Halloween. I had actually 2 young children, beautiful as they may be. They're, as you well know, Rich, a lot of work. So it was a little more like, oh, hey, man, I got to run with the kids. Hey, nice seeing you.
Right,
Which wasn't enough for old Richie. Wasn't enough.
I remember you looked at my kids. You go, those your kids? Oh,
that's not
sorry,
true.
bro.
Poor you, Richard Speight. Hey, that's amazing. So, yeah. I mean, the first time you guys hung out, was it on Supernatural, though? I mean, actually hung out and you were like...
Conventions.
It was conventions.
Conventions, yeah.
So you do these conventions with Jensen and Jared, the Supernatural things, and, our friends Jason Mann's there, and you're playing music together, and also... No, Richard, you're both signing because you're actors on the show.
Yeah, at this point, there was no musical component to the conventions. This is early on. There's no band. Rob had a band, but there was no band playing the conventions. It was kind of the old model of walk on, do your 30-minute panel to a smattering of applause, walk off, go sit at your table, kind of move through the system like that. There was not a lot of interaction between the actors.
Right.
My band actually did a one-off concert at one of the conventions in Burbank. It was a one-off thing. And Richard came to the show, which was cool because normally the actors take off. Back in the day, they would.
What a
and
guy.
Came to the show and stood in line at our autograph session so he could say hey to the band, which I thought was a very humble thing for this guy to.
Rich Speight Jr. Remember from the restaurant and the and the
Every
other 5 times.
Remembered me, but Rob. I mean, I remember Mike Borja's eye lit up. Billy Moran's like, oh sure, Norton.
Mike Borja's eye, his one eye,
his down eye.
So how did you?
His butthole lit up.
Well, now you're inseparable. And it's like, how did this relationship really, I mean, in a nutshell, you don't have to talk about it too much, but like, so you guys became, how did you really, because you do so much together that I'm like, you must really like each other. You have a podcast, Kings of Con, you did the show, Kings of Con, right? And you did a show, Kings of Con, and you did another show that was formerly before Kings of Con, Talking with Richard or some shit, right?
Right. So we actually raised money and did a show on Comic-Con, had a fledgling network website that was
Lionsgate was the big 800-pound gorilla behind that bad boy.
Yeah, Lionsgate did original content, and we produced a show for that network, 10 episodes called Kings of Con.
Was that with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion?
That was at the same time.
Exact same time.
Funny story about that is we wrote the show. We called it Con Men. And it was about, it was the same. The idea was it was Rich and I doing the conventions, and we're not famous anywhere else but at the conventions. And, we're only famous 12 weekends a year. Yeah,
that was the tagline in the poster, meet Rob and Rich. These two men are super famous 13 weekends a year.
Right. And,
awesome.
and that the craziest people at the conventions are the actors themselves. And so we did this video and raised this and did an online campaign to raise some money. And before we were sort of about to release it to the world, the press came out with this press release that Nathan Fillion had this new show, and it was called Con Man.
Well, that was just to put a fine point on it. We were launching our crowdfunding campaign. They launched their crowdfunding campaign. That's what
it was. Yeah.
They launched their crowdfunding campaign and broke records. Like they just smashed goals, and it was a great, really well executed campaign. And we were literally about to hit send on ours, had to scramble back and retitle everything because they were Con Man and we were Con Men.
I mean, it was just one of those things where they had the same idea, same name, and were doing it better than us.
My friend Dax once said, and name drop, but he does have some good advice every once in a while. But he said, Rosie, if you're a janitor and you have this idea about being a janitor on toilets, don't you think other janitors have thought about this idea with toilets and whatever it is? It's like, we're actors. Right. We have ideas. Whatever we're doing, we have an idea. We go to conventions. Oh, wouldn't it be cool? There's probably a lot of actors that have come up with these ideas. Having your own twist, timing, having people back you, all these other things are out of our control, and it sucks.
Correct.
But you did 10 episodes and you loved it, and it was
we had this. We had a come to Jesus talk. We're like, because my instinct is always like, well, fuck it, we got beat. We're done. And Rich was like, listen, man. It's the same, we're the Chicago Hope to their ER. There's no reason that the world can't have two shows like this. Yeah. We are ourselves. There's no way we're going to be them. We have our own unique take on it. Let's rename it and fucking forge ahead. And that's what we did. And we're proud of what we created. These 10 episodes are on a pretty small budget, are we think really funny and really hold up.
Available on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. I mean, look, there was Leviathan. There was The Abyss at the same time. There was There's 911 with SWAT, and there's you're right. There's if you have enough of a fan base, or but I'm glad you went through with it and you shot the 10 episodes. And guys, you should check that out. But you guys,
it's funny. It's stars a lot of our friends from Supernatural, sort of an homage to what our actual experiences are, but But
I'll say this, and
done up for comic effect.
This show is made, but for anybody listening who thinks, well, I don't know conventions, I won't enjoy the show. My pitch was always, you don't have to have been a writer on SNL to have enjoyed 30 Rock. You don't have to know conventions to enjoy Kings of Con, because it's a situational comedy. The characters and the situations are what drive it. The wallpaper is unique in that it's a convention world. But you come for the convention, you stay for the haha, and the haha is the characters and how they interact.
Inside of You is brought to you by GEICO. Everybody knows this word, GEICO. You hear it all the time, but there's a reason why they're a big name in insurance and all these other things because, they're everywhere and they know what they're doing. Ryan, you rent your place. We've talked about this.
Rent and you own your home.
Right. And we talked about this, but it's just a pain in the arse when you have to go pay your auto policy, your home policy, your this, your that. And that's why GEICO is wonderful. And they have bundling policies. Bundling policies with GEICO. GEICO makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have too much to do around your home. So go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's GEICO easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Even a Rosenbaum can do it. Inside of You is brought to you by Butcher Box. I love these guys. There's nothing better than getting a box full of fresh freaking meat to your doorstep. You know, Ryan, I made these short ribs for my friend Rob. You know Rob.
I know Rob.
Rob Danson. I said, you want some short ribs? He's like, yeah, where are we ordering? I go, we're not ordering. It's Butcher Box. You're going to make them? Heck yeah. They gave me this rack of ribs. It was huge in this box. And I basked it in barbecue sauce. And I cooked the crap out of that thing, and it was just awesome. It was just delicious. And I'm not a great cook, but I could grill. I could throw a piece of meat on there on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just delicious. Their meats are truly exceptional. And I think that's why people are really excited about them. Every time I mention them, people are like, oh, yeah, I know Butcher Box. You know, spring is here. It's here, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And, we're doing the spring cleaning. And, rearranging things and getting rid of junk, taking care of your space, Ryan. But, you also got to take care of what you put on your plate. And that is a nice piece of meat. Juicy, delicious meat. And Butcher Box, they have just really made me happy with the things they have sent me. With Butcher Box, you get the highest quality meat around for just $6 a meal. And they even have free shipping nationwide except for Alaska and Hawaii. Each box has 10 pounds of meat, enough for 24 individual meals, packed fresh, shipped frozen, vacuum sealed so it stays that way. Right now, Butcher Box is offering new members ground beef for life. That's 2 pounds of ground beef in every box for the life of your subscription. All you got to do is just go to butcherbox.com/inside. That's butcherbox.com/inside. You are going to love Butcher Box. Wasn't it Dick Speight Jr. that's sitting right here with me? Isn't he the guy that brought you to the hospital, Rob, when you had the stroke many moons ago?
Yeah, when you're asking about our friendship, we in like 2011 or something, we did a convention in Rome, and that's I think when we were like, it went beyond like, oh, that guy that I kind of know. It was like, oh, it was, you meet certain people in your life that you're like, oh wow, this guy really gets it, like I get it, and we're getting it in the same way. And our humor was, my brother likened it to like playing basketball with someone that's just really easy to do. You throw a no look pass and they're right there. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we kept getting paired together after that at conventions because we jived together so well. But then, our relationship definitely took another step forward when he got me to that. He was the guy that got me to the hospital. I mean, I was having a stroke, and obviously that was the last thing that anyone thought was actually happening. And Rich had the wherewithal to
Didn't he call you? You were in your hotel room. Didn't he call you up?
You want to take that, Rich?
It was so it was in Toronto, and we were all going to go have a steak after wrapping it up on Sunday. And so the group, Jared, Jensen, Misha, Cliff, myself, and we were going to go, and Rob was on that list of people. We're going to walk across the street. It's like down the block and go have a steak, which we'd done the year before, kind of a thing we did in Toronto. And Rob was still signing autographs. We left. So like, all right, we'll just meet you there, Robbie. And you kind of was like, all right, waves us on. We're waiting. And I text him, hey, we're waiting. And he's like, not feeling it. And that is like, did not sound like Rob. Like, not feeling it. Like, we've been busting our hump for 72 hours. You're not going to come. What? So I called him and I said, hey, we're all waiting. We're not going to order until you get here because we don't want, get out here. Well, I'll order you a martini. And he was like, it's just, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Yeah, I'm not feeling, I'm like, dude, you're stressed. I know you. You're wound like a banjo string. You're probably all, riddled with anxiety. Get out of the eye of the storm. Come on, over here. And he's like, no, I don't know. I'm not going to do it. And we hung up, and I was like, none of that made sense to me. And I can't explain why. I just went back to the guys, and I said, this doesn't make sense, man. I'm going back. I'm going to the hotel. This does not, something doesn't make sense. It just didn't sound right. It just, and I always make the joke, I've never known Rob to turn down a free martini. But that's the simple way of saying it. But it was like, there's just something not right. The way he was phrasing it, the energy that I know we just had in the middle of the day and we were planning on this, and just to do a 180 like that, I'm like, it's like when a 911 person knows, oh, there's somebody with a gun to this person's head on the other end of the phone. I should send the cops. Like, it was just a weird moment.
Was he mumbling at all? Was it a mumble, kind of like slurred speech thing?
It was just an indecisive. He wasn't slurring. And I know this sounds again like a bit, but Rob's sort of natural speech pattern. And remember, it was going to progress and get worse as the night went on. But at this moment, his natural speech pattern lent itself to not revealing what was going on. His sort of, comedic, like, really? That became the speech pattern, but he wasn't coming out of it. It was like he would just keep doing that, as opposed to, Rich, I'm not feeling good, man. I got to lay down. I'm shot. That's a sentence. I could go, oh, okay. But it was more like, I don't know, I just feel, I don't know, man. And they're like, okay, it just didn't seem right. It just didn't seem right.
So you went to the hotel. Did you go up to the room?
I went to the hotel. I went to the room, and there was one of the handlers there who had walked him back to his room, and she looked concerned. I'm like, what? We have handlers walking us to and from our rooms. And she was like, I don't know, man. He just seemed out of it at the end of the autograph session. And I'm like, okay, I'll go talk to him. And she goes, but he didn't want anybody in there. And we're like, well, I'm going in there. And I went in there and was talking to him, and he's like, I don't know, man. I just blah, 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 kind of hemming and hawing. I'm like, okay. And I said, dude, are you okay? He's like, I just, and I thought he was having an anxiety attack. I thought something had gotten him worked up. And I'm like, this is odd. There's a guy who's a sound guy who has a, I don't know if he's a practicing physician anymore, but he had been. And I said, I told the gals, like, maybe go grab him and bring him up here. Meanwhile, I'm talking to him, and he's like, I just want to watch the game. I'm like, okay, cool, football game. And I call Misha's phone, and I'm like, something ain't right. This is not right. I'm going to have to hang here, And he's like, Misha's like, put him on the phone. So I put him on the phone with Misha. Misha talked to him for a second, and he got on the phone. He's like, yeah, something's not right, because the way Rob was hemming and hawing. And I was like, Rob, who's the quarterback of the team you're playing? Who's that guy? And I'm like, dude doesn't know, like, he's not saying anything.
Jesus
and I'm on the phone with
Christ.
Misha. And he's like, could it be a stroke? And I'm like, I don't know, but it ain't right. And the doc came up, sat with him, had him talk to him for a little bit, had him do a few tests, and he said, it's not a stroke. He's having an anxiety attack. Let's let him sleep it off. And I said, okay. And he left the room. And I'm like, that dude's wrong. I'm not leaving. I'm taking him to the hospital.
All I wanted to do was sleep. I just remember the time. I just wanted to sleep.
And I was like, dude, I got to take you to the doctor. And you're like, no, I don't want to go to the doctor. I'm like, I know. I'm the asshole. If I'm wrong, dinner's on me. But I got to take you to the doctor.
If he would have slept and you would have said, fine, because a lot of people, it's a long day. You're out with your friends. You're thinking of things. You want to go out for a drink, watch football. You go, he's tired. Most of the time, it's just fatigue. It's anxiety. I get that. If you let Rob go to sleep, we might not have Rob. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
At the very least, I may not, never have been able to speak. I mean, I was losing words, and I couldn't. I think what he really saw was that I was having a hard time putting anything together, putting words together.
Right. It wasn't comic shtick anymore. Like when
I was watching the game, didn't I like call the football a banana or something like that?
You said something. I remember, and I wish I could remember exactly what it was. It was also something in that framework. Now at this point, I've already said, we're going to the doctor. I already leaned out and I said, girls, get a car, not an ambulance, get a car. We're driving to the hospital. We're not going to make a scene. We're just going to get out of here. And so they were wrestling up a car, and you're sitting there and you used a word incorrectly, dramatically so, like, oh, he just scored a bookshelf. And you're like, yeah, man. Okay. Like, you did something with a word replacement that you're like,
right.
And then we go to the hospital. And this is the thing that was, so I'm still thinking, and Rob, you leap in any time, man. I know it's your story, but I'm still thinking I'm wrong. It's anxiety. I'm being overly cautious here, but you know what? I'm going to err on caution. But in my mind, I'm like, you know how this plays out. You get over there and you find out your buddy's got indigestion, not a heart problem, whatever. And we get over there and there's a pretty full waiting room, like there would be in any emergency room. And we go up to sign in. And I go, hey, my buddy here is having a hard time, like putting thoughts together. And I don't know, maybe nothing, but a little concerned. And she goes, okay, what's his name? And I go, or what's your name? And I go, it's Rob Benedict. She's like, no, I need him to talk to me. What's your name? And you go, and immediately she's pushing a button under the table. Like immediately I see her pushing something.
Wow.
And 5 seconds later, while he's going, Rob Benedict, 4 doctors walk out. Turns out, by accident, we're at Toronto's premier stroke center hospital. It happened to be the closest hospital we went to. And she hit the button and the stroke team was in the waiting room, standing next to Rob. Waiting room full of people. And they're like, nope, you're on a gurney. Boom. And we're going. And we're like, whoa. Okay.
Oh man, I just got emotional too. I don't know. Right when you said the button thing, I don't know. I got a little emotional. That's just overwhelming. Man. Oh man. Holy shit.
Did you remember the button part, Rob? Or is that did only I see that part?
I think just you saw that. No. But I just remember getting a CAT scan pretty much right away. And just thinking, what the fuck is going on? I kept thinking this has got to be some kind of weird. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I was 43. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't have high cholesterol. Nothing like that. No history.
Fit guy. Healthy weight. Like there's no telltale signs. Which, by the way, cautionary tale to anybody listening: there are no telltale signs. A stroke could hit a young fella. You know what I mean?
The signs are, the signs they talk about, like if speech is slurred or face is drooping, if you can't lift one arm, go to the hospital right away because time is of the essence. You have to get it right away because you're having a blood loss to your brain. And so then these doctors are around around me back in this room. This is how I remember it. And this really strict kind of doctors, like you're having a stroke. We need to give you this medication, this blood clot buster.
Right.
That's, but there's 17% chance.
I remember, I think there's a 14% chance it kills you.
It kills you.
And I remember the dude coming out. I'll never forget this.
Jesus
this was like a
Christ.
moment, man. I'm standing there. I'm as close to next to kin as he's got, at this moment. And Rob's in the bed and I'm standing there and the doctor, who, by the way, is not a stand-up comedian. I get it.
Right.
But real cold. Like he's a stroke guy. His bedside manner is, I'm going to give you the facts and you need to tell me an answer right now quickly. And they're wrapping Rob an IV around his arm. And they're getting the needle in and the whole thing. And he's like, here's what's going on. You're having a stroke. You have this % of brain damage right now. The medicine you need, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's a very common stroke emergency medication. The medicine you need, I need to give to you right now. There's a 30% chance it does nothing. There's a 50% chance it will 55% chance it will reduce the damage, and there's a 14 to 15% chance it will kill you. You'll cause more bleeding in your brain, and you'll bleed out.
And they need to know that
internally.
now.
Yeah. And Rob goes, Molly. And I said, I think he wants to call his wife Molly. And he looked at Rob and he goes, Molly can't help you right now. And I was like, whoa. And I remember Rob and I looked at each other and we both started laughing because it was like crisis laughter. I was like, motherfucker, like, this ain't a bit, man. This guy just said there's a 15% chance. And I'm like, are you wrapping his arm to give him the drug right now? I am. As soon as he nods his head, yes. If he were unconscious, I would have already given him the drug. He's conscious. So by law, I have to get his approval. The second he nods yes, we're pushing in the drugs. And we'll find out in 48 hours if it does nothing, if it helps, or if it kills him. And I was like, I remember looking at Rob and I'm like,
yeah, Rich is like crying. At this point, Rich starts crying. And that's
Yeah.
and I realized like, I'm fucked. This is fucked. This is really fucked. And
Yeah.
so we're laughing and crying. And I finally just kind of nod my head and they
give you the shot.
and they give it to me.
And it helped, obviously.
And I was lucky. It did
Saved
help.
his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it brought you the Rob. Oh, the other thing the guy said, which is, he's like, if I don't give you the medicine, you will keep getting worse, or you'll stay like you are. And that's no way to live. Because at this point, Rob couldn't speak. At this point, Rob, like, if Rob was frozen and if that was the new normal for Rob, he's learning everything over again. And it was intense. Like that guy was saying, that guy was not pulling punches. Thank God, because the clock's ticking. You know, he didn't have time for the bullshit. There's no hand holding. It's like,
Yeah.
I need an answer 10 minutes ago.
So Rob,
And
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Rich.
that's it. I mean, like, it was just such an intense experience.
Intense is intense.
But
Yeah.
more, obviously more for Rob than for me, but nonetheless.
But Rob, so, we know obviously the rest is history, and you improved, and it took a lot of work, and you had to really work on speech therapy and things like that, right?
Yeah. And it kind of got worse before it got better. It was 48 hours in the ICU. It was kind of terrifying. I mean, I'm shaking right now just sort of talking about just because it doesn't go away. It was a life altering moment, traumatic. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it got worse before it got better, and kind of had to slowly learn to speak again, or just the words just slowly started. Their advice was just to keep talking. So they kept trying to get me to talk.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do now to sort of prevent? Is there anything you could do to prevent other than eating well or doing the best you can? Is it one thing? Does the doctor just say, Rob, you're okay now. You're fully healthy. You're recovered. Chances are this isn't going to happen again. You just need to go live your life and not worry about it.
That's exactly what he said. Yeah, when I got back, that was in Toronto, right? So I was there for a couple of weeks, and then I finally flew home. Saw the doctors here, and then it took a couple months. I was in speech therapy, and then also my carotid artery still wasn't working over here, because that's where I had this tear in my carotid artery. So that's where your pulse is, and you've got two carotid arteries. So this one on the left, I had no pulse over here because it had shut down. And that's a scary way to live too, because that means if this one goes down, you're done.
Right.
So in Toronto, they said that would never heal. But the doctor here said it's a 50% chance it could heal. And a couple months later, it actually did heal. My blood started flowing on this side again. So besides, I get a sonogram every couple of years just to make sure there's no plaque in there. My carotid's working. I used to take blood thinners, and then I stopped doing that and just started taking aspirin, low dose of aspirin every day. And then I stopped doing that. So yeah, the doctor said, live your life. He was like, don't be stupid. Don't go on roller coasters. Don't do anything that's going to jostle your neck around. Cause that's really what it was. It was like I had for some reason, my carotid artery tore. So he's like, no high contact physical sports. I don't go upside down.
Yeah.
I used to do like upside down against the wall, like at my workouts and stuff. I don't do that anymore.
How often do you think about it in a year?
Every day.
Every day you still think about it.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And it just never go. I mean, the older you get, it's hard to remember certain things. I feel like for me, that's worse than it used to be. It's also part of getting older, but also just like every time I don't remember something, I'm having a conversation. Rich knows, I mean, all the time, like what's the thing, or who's the guy or what, every time I'm like, oh, fuck, is it happening? Because it was that, what was so terrifying about it is Rich is right. It was like, I was stuck in that mode of looking for a word and no word ever came. And so every time I forget a word or something, I think about that, what if the next word just doesn't come to me?
Well, look, I appreciate the story. It's just, Captain. I was looking at my buddy, my partner over here, my engineer, Ryan, and he's just like, he had never heard of it. And he's just like just like, wow. And it is an amazing story. And it really will help people though, to, just if they're going through it or if they've experienced or whatever, or if they haven't experienced, it's a wake up call and it's something you can't control. And it's just, it's life. And it's like, you survived it and you owe everything to Richard Speight. So no. But look, so this whole story, this friendship, if anything kind of cemented this friendship forever, it's, that moment, without having to ask you about other things, about experiences, but it brings us to, this awesome podcast, which I was just on, the Kings of Con, which is so much fun. And you have so much of a following. How did this happen? Why did you want to do another podcast with all the other actors and all the things that are going on? Is it just something you thought, this is easy, let's just do it for us? Or did you think, let's do it, maybe, we have enough fans, maybe people will listen? I mean, whose idea, who was the mastermind behind it?
Rob. Rob's baby.
I kind of had to convince Rich to do it at the beginning of lockdown. I was like, look, we're locked down. What if the idea is that every week you're my guest? And it was called And My Guest is Richard Speight.
Which made me laugh immediately. I'm like, I'm in. That's funny.
It's also like the Fleetwood Mac thing on SNL, right? He never gets to, what up with that? What up with that? She said, he said, my guess is from Fleetwood Mac, it is Lindsey Buckingham. And they never get to Lindsey Buckingham. And people are like, most people are like, who's Lindsey Buckingham? Unless you're us who know Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love that too. But so then it became Kings of Con.
And that became Kings of Con. And now we have guests. At first there were no guests except Rich. And now we have guests like you on. And
it became Kings of Con because we were doing it like everybody we know, yourself included, Michael. Rob and I can't sit still, man. Like, we're dudes who got to be doing something.
No.
And we want to be doing something fun and creative. And if it's not standing on a stage with a live mic making jokes at each other's expense, it's writing a script. And if it's not writing a script, it's like, ooh, let's just shoot something fun with our phones. If we're not doing that, it's like, let's at least have a beer and make each other laugh. Can't do that because of lockdown. So it became, well, let's just do this. And if our audience is just us, fine. Well, Rob will write some music. We'll have a few laughs. That'll be the bit. And it became so organic to both of us. We both started enjoying it so much and building an audience that we're like, we actually had a couple dudes who actually do it for a living. Friends of ours go like, build it up a little bit. Like give yourself some bandwidth to expand. So it's not just And Richard Speight. Because right now you're playing for an audience of people who have to know who Richard Speight is to get the joke, versus if you open it up to, it could be just you guys, but also you actually have a reach of people and you have experiences and you can tap into that for comedic effect and use the baseline of conventions to have people coming out. Use your known brand to get guests involved.
You know what else is wonderful about that is that it's also a platform for you to have direct communication with your fans and your friends and your family, where you're talking about things that they maybe relate to. You're telling them, hey, if you want to see us play here, it's something like, hey, we're going to go in and be part of this family for an hour. And, and they could follow you, whatever you're doing. It's instead of just posting all the time, you're talking to them and you're saying, they feel like they know you and they do know you. And so there's something nice about that.
It's cool. And I guests come on, talk about whatever they want. But Rob and I early on were like, look, we want to talk to people, but we don't want to be talk show hosts. That's not what we want to do. The goal is talk to people. And our sort of comedic business plan was, if people listen to our podcast and learn anything about our guests, we haven't done our job. Like it should be, our goal is just have a good time. If something spills out, great. If it's just a laugh and people feel like, oh, I just listened in on three buddies having a beer, great. That's also the goal. Like, it's whatever it is.
It was so enjoyable, and you guys have such a good rapport, and the back and forth. It was just like, that's how I like to do this podcast. More like a conversation, and if things kind of come out, they come out. And like you add little things. And I'm sorry, I can't think of her name. She's on the show with you.
Tina.
I love Tina. She was great. And she has her role and you guys have your roles. And then Rob does this thing where he's like, all right, pick a genre of music. And I said 90s. And he's like, all right, pick someone you want to talk about. I go, my grandma Blanche. And it was genius. And you did this little song about my grandmother in the style of Eddie Vedder. And you have just a fun, it's just, you know what it is? If nothing else, I just want to hang out with you guys. And I said that before today's podcast. I thought, I really just like these guys. I would love nothing more than I can't wait to just sit down with you or play guitar with you and have a beer or, make sure it's before 9 p.m. for Richard. And you're just two lovable, fucking good guys in an industry that seems like there's a lot of darkness and yet you're the light at the end of the tunnel. And I appreciate that. And your candor and your openness and you telling these stories. And I enjoy the shit out of it. And, a lot of people will think, who's Michael Rosenbaum? Who's Richard Speight? Who's Rob Benedict? Well, when they listen to you, they like you.
Yeah.
You're likable. And I think that's a big part of it.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you. And same goes to you, buddy. We feel the same. We are blessed with, and I do think the industry can draw from society some not great people, but there are great people in there if you take the time to look and listen and find them. And, we're all journeymen. We've all been at this a long time. We all have our battle scars and our trophies and our almost wins and our also rans. And I think when you chalk up that kind of history and have it in your saddlebag and keep moseying across the desert, you meet some interesting wanderers along the way. Yeah. And you are one of them, and Rob is one of them. And I think we're lucky to still be on our horse.
I love it. And then, by the way, thank you for allowing me to talk about my my album on your podcast. That was nice.
The album's great,
absolutely.
Man.
Thank you. This is called Benedict and Speight's Shit Talking with Benedict and Speight. This is rapid fire. These are my patrons who get to ask questions. Rapid fire. You could both say it. Cindy H. Favorite city. Speight.
Sorry. Favorite city?
Yeah.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Benedict.
Chicago, Illinois.
Great. Lisa H. I love the short-lived show Kings of Con. Brilliant concept. How true were the character personalities to the real Rob and Rich?
Half true, half made up.
Rob.
Yeah. Comedic versions of our actual selves.
Leanne P. Who are some of your favorite heroes? Benedict.
Like real heroes or fake heroes?
Well, your personal heroes. It could be anybody.
Oh, okay. Personal heroes. My brother.
That's nice.
He became my sort of father after my dad left, which was a lot for him to handle. But I really dig my bro.
That's awesome. Rich?
Skip Muck, the man I played in Band of Brothers, who was a real World War II veteran who lost his life during Battle of the Bulge. Getting to know about him through his family was a life-changing experience. And my high school football coach, Tommy Owen.
Awesome.
I learned more about acting from Tommy Owen than I ever did from any other acting teacher.
Thomas Owen. Rozzy, what are the funniest things that have happened to both of you on set of Supernatural? Rich, rapid fire.
I had my mouth sewn shut as a character, so they had to glue my mouth shut. And for the rest of the day, people made open fun of me because I couldn't respond.
Rob.
On the set of Supernatural, I got to hit Jared Padalecki with a plunger, and I kept getting it wrong, so I got multiple takes. So that was super fun, getting to hit a guy, a 6'5" dude with a plunger like 10 times.
Angie, this one's for Rob. If you haven't already, please share your naked acupuncture story.
I mean, it's a long story, but basically the short version is that I never been to an acupuncturist before, and I went this year. Oh, no. He had me get naked. You could see the front door opening.
Unusual.
And I on the podcast with Rich, him and Tina, I was like, is this normal? This happened to me. Is this normal? And they're like, no, that's not normal.
That's just
we
weird.
had Rachel Harris on as our guest, and Rachel literally was flummoxed. It was not normal. It's not normal.
That's weird. I've never had that.
Yeah.
This is from Maisha. Can you guys give a little Maisha? What have you learned about each other working on your podcast together, Rob?
Kings of Con. that Rich has a really good radio voice, but that he's not technically sound.
Rob,
That's funny. I was going to say, here's what I learned. Rob's way more technically savvy than I am, and can write and record music very quickly. There's a quick turnaround in his musical creativity.
Rich, give me a little DJ voice close to the camera where you say, you're listening to the Inside of You podcast. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum with superstars Rob Benedict and Richard Speight.
You're listening to Michael Rosenbaum's star-studded podcast, Inside of You, with special guest Rob Benedict and Richard Speight Jr. Go inside these two and see why it's so freaking dark.
So freaking dark. I love that. I always wanted to be a DJ. I was a DJ in college for.
I might have an okay DJ timbre, but I have the diction of a man who's had his jaw broken a few times. And so, like, I might have somewhere in the register of a DJ voice, but sort of my half lisp and shitty diction prevent me. I've never done a radio commercial, nothing. Because as soon as I get in, like, oh, nice start. Richard Speight. Okay, do the product. Cry, delicious. Like,
I think you have a great voice, though. I always thought DJ voice would be cool. I always wonder how they are at home, though. It's like 99.5 WKDQ, listening to the hits of yesterday and today, another 30-minute music marathon. Right now, I wonder how they are at home, though, right? Sweetheart, how was your day? It was great, honey. How are you? How was your day? It's just got to be the weirdest thing.
I love, my sons love/hate it because I do my morning DJ voice a lot. Back when I'd be driving them to school, I'd be like, hey, the roads are back to people in Hong Kong. We're getting our way to 9 o'clock in the morning. Time to wake up, check out the fog, because you got to get to school. Don't be a fool. Get out there and learn. I play the hits of the 80s, 90s right now. Drop the needle on this hot track.
Hey, listen, I love the hell out of both of you. I wish you continued success. I can't wait to see and hold you. And thank you for allowing me to be inside of both of you today.
Thanks.
I appreciate the invitation, and I want to leave this great story with one tidbit to circle back.
Please do.
If you think you are with somebody who's having a medical concern, and that medical concern is out of your realm of understanding, err on the side of caution and seek medical treatment. Take them to a doctor. If you're wrong, you buy lunch. But it's always better to be safe rather than sorry. Because Rob and I are living testaments to the fact that you don't always know what's going on, and trust your instincts. If it feels weird, it probably is weird, take them to the doctor.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's a something to remember with strokes called FAST. Face, arms, speech, and tongue or time. The different ways you can tell if someone's having a stroke. If their face is drooping, if their arm won't raise, if their speech is slurry, or if their tongue, like for my tongue, it would go to the one side. If I stuck my tongue out, it wouldn't go straight down. It would go to one side. And time, because you got to get them to the hospital fast.
I love it. Thank you for all the insight. I love you both. Yeah. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for having us.
Whew, man, you're right. That was a good one, Ryan.
Yeah.
It was. It was, I mean, if Richard didn't, you know, a lot of times I'll say to a friend, you know, we're at a hotel or something. He's like, you know, I'm too tired or I'm too tired. No one checks up on me. I say, hey, I'm going to go to my room, whatever. You know, let me know. And they text and I say, yeah, I'm not up to it. They leave me alone. But there was something that Speight felt that there was something off about Rob. And I'm so grateful for Richard Speight for, you know, just being there and giving extra attention and just trusting his gut. And because I love Rob Benedict so much. He's such a wonderful human being that I love that he's part of my life. And what'd you get from this?
I mean, that's just an incredible story, and like how lucky to have a friend like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just a triumph of friendship, and it made me feel really warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
That Richard was willing to go the extra mile, and just like the whole thing. I mean, because I related to it a little bit. I mean, I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
My life wasn't threatened, but I had a seizure on a beach once.
That's right. Let's hear that.
So I was at it was a bachelor party for my friend. We went to San Diego. We had an Airbnb. And so the night before was our drink night, and so we went out on the town, had a lot of San Diego beers, got up, and I did not drink enough water. And these are all my surfer friends too. So they wanted to go into the ocean in the morning. And so I just sort of took a boogie board and a wetsuit and just sort of, and it was a crazy riptide day. So we were just getting tossed around.
Just exhausted.
And so it was just the day of like trying to like work out, like sweat out the beers of last night and then just like sweating in the wetsuit. And we just had a bunch of coffee during the day just to try to wake up. And then we were about to go to dinner, just go have like a nice, easy dinner. We were also all sort of feeling sleepy. So we decided to go on the beach and play spike ball. You know what spike ball is?
Yeah.
It's like the game where you smack a ball into the circular net. And we were having a great time doing that earlier in the week.
Right.
And we thought, let's just do a little fun thing and then we'll shower and then we'll go to dinner. And me just being super competitive and diving for balls. And I was just too dehydrated.
And a perfect storm of all the fatigue, the alcohol, the coffee.
So it was just like spinning. And like, I was like, it was weird. Cause like, I was like, when the game stopped, I was like, just sort of warped. And then, when the game was playing, I was like able to move around and hit balls and things. But then at a certain point, the lights just went out. Just stopped.
And you had a seizure.
And apparently I had a seizure and it was just a crazy dehydration. And so what I'm grateful for and what I think about with the Rob and Richard story is my friend Chase, who is now a fireman for LA County, and at the time was an EMT. He's just one of those guys who's just he's great in crisis moments. He just hit the button like, let's go. He's got to go. Apparently I fell into his arms. He was like that on it. He was just, and then he just he knew exactly what to do. He kept me from like biting my tongue. And just what do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, with the seizure? Yeah, I think you just tongue. I think it's like about like what you do, like with the head's tilted or something. Yeah. And then I got transferred to La Jolla Hospital, and then that was the end of the bachelor party. Chase, thank you, Chase. Thank you, Richard Speight. Thank you, Chase, for saving Ryan. And thank you, Stefan, for being cool with me ruining your bachelor party. Oh, sorry, bud. Yeah, what a dick move, dude. But that guy has a seizure during his. Seriously, like you could help that. Yep. Well, we could have. I mean, yeah, but you always think you're indestructible when you're young, right? Yeah. Well, this was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't. You're young still. Yeah. Jesus, man, that's it scares me because you never know what's going to happen. You just never know how your body's going to react, and your body. We have a threshold, everybody, and you don't know what that is. And some people are indestructible or seem so. And anyway, thanks for listening to today's podcast. I want to thank everybody, and please subscribe if you're still listening. It truly helps. And the handles on Twitter and Instagram at Inside of You Podcast on the Instagram, at Inside of You Pod on the Twitter and Facebook. And go to YouTube, subscribe, and wherever you listen, write a review if you can. The Inside of You online store, 20% off just for about 24 hours. That's it. The code word password is Inside Ryan 20. That's correct. So get some good merch. We got Smallville lunch boxes available. We got, I believe, some beanies, some Lex Luthor shirts, bunch of cool Inside of You shirts, lots of stuff. And also the band, sunspin.com, for all your delicious needs. You can get this sweet CD signed by Rob and I, and a bunch of other stuff we got at sunspin.com. Also, a big shout out to all my wonderful charities that I love. Foodonfoot.org, really helping homeless people across Los Angeles. And they could always use your support if you want to donate or become a $98 club member. Foodonfoot.org. Also, the Ronald McDonald House of Los Angeles. I love those guys. They do real good stuff. And Echoes of Hope for foster youth. So echoesofhope.org as well. Those are the charities that I contribute to and love. I'm going to read off the wonderful patrons who make this podcast very possible. They're a big part of that. Also, a big shout out to Westwood One. Thank you for believing in the show. Thank you, Ryan, for working diligently and coming out with great stuff and really great editing. And love having you here. And Bryce, who works nonstop on the podcast, trying to get people like you to listen. And you're listening. Here are the patrons, top tier patrons who, if you want to join Patreon, it's a wonderful family. I say it all the time. Just go to patreon.com/inside and join the family today. It's wonderful. You get great perks.
Certain tiers get to ask the guest questions. They get a merch box with a note from me. YouTube lives where I play music and people have a request line open. It's fun.
It's all good.
It's all good. All right, here they are. Here are the top tier patrons. I feel like David Letterman. It's like the top 10.
The top 10.
You know, I miss that. Nancy D, Mary B, Leah S, Trisha, Sarah
V,
Little,
Lisa,
Yukiko, Jill E, Brian H, Lauren G, Nico P, Robin S, Jerry W, Robert I, Jason W, Apathian. Apathian. It's a new one. He was last time.
Last time there, yeah.
Apathian.
Apathian.
Apathian. Ooh, rock me, Apathian. Sorry. Kristen.
K.
Amelia.
O.
Allison.
L.
Jess.
J.
Wow, I couldn't do this. Lucas M. Raj C. Joshua D. Emily S. CJT. Samantha M. Jennifer N. Jackie P. Stacy L. Carly H. Carly S. Jen S, Jamal F, Janelle B, Carrie B, Tabitha 272, not to be confused with.
Tabitha 273.
Ashley Ryan, Kimberly E, Mike E, Marissa N, Eldon Supremo, that's Dan. Jack, Slater, Ramira, Beth B, Santiago M, Sarah F, Chad W, Leanne P, Ray A, Maya P, Maisha. Maddie S, Kendrick F, Ashley F, Shannon D, Matt W, Belinda N, Kevin V, James R, Chris H, Osborne H, Amy C, Dave H, Samantha S, Spider-Man,
Chase,
Sheila
G,
Ray
A.
Yes, Alyssa C, Tabitha T, Misha H, Tom A N, Tom N, Henry S, Katie F, Liliana A, Michelle K, Hannah B. Few more, and then we're good. But here are the last of the wonderful patrons. This is Michael S, Talia M, Luke H, John S, Andrew T, Claire baby, hey Claire baby, Liz J, Laura L, Chad L, Rochelle, Nathan E, Brandel, Taylor K, Neil A, Marion, Meg K, Janelle P, Dan N, Jennifer J, Wayne M, Diane R, Ojeda, Lorraine G, Olga C, Corey M, Carrie H, Veronica K, and Big Stevie W. Oh, Big Stevie. Those are the wonderful patrons.
Stevie Wonder?
It's Stevie Wonder.
Oh my
God.
God.
It is Stevie Wonder.
Oh my
God. Thank you so much from from myself, Michael, and
myself, Ryan.
Himself. Ryan, here in the Hollywood Hills.
The Hollywood Hills
of California. Hey, everybody. 95 degrees, partly cloudy. How can it be 95 degrees and partly cloudy? It seems like it has to be full sun. I don't get it.
Oh, man, it's almost baseball season.
Oh, I know. It's almost great. Baseball season. Much love to everybody out there. Give a wave, old Ryan. And we'll see you on the flip side. Thank you for allowing me to be inside each and every one of you. Okay. We'll see you.